So these notes, I'm doing a video of for long division of polynomials, especially for those who are gone for the PSAT. I have the notes posted up, but if you want some explanation of me saying exactly what's going on. So we're still in chapter 8. We haven't finished it. Here we are dealing with long division of polynomials. Okay. And so I'm going to go through 3 examples. And some of them are going to be written in different forms. Some of them are going to be where maybe you're missing a term. Some of them maybe you're going to be not having them in what we call descending order. So the first one, we're going to divide the quantity 6x cubed plus 11x squared minus 4x minus 9 by 3x minus 2. Okay, I'm just going to highlight that so we see the problem. So this is the problem we are working on. We're trying to divide this polynomial by this polynomial. So you always want to make sure that you have it in descending order, which means the biggest degree, then the next down, and so on. So here I have degree 3, degree 2, this is degree 1, and this 9, any number is really degree 0 because the x that would be with it is raised to the 0. It's not there because it's x to the 0, which is 1. Also, if you're missing a term, you want to put a 0 and then x or x squared. So for example, if I did not have this 11x squared and I went from 6x cubed minus 4x and I had no x squared, in place of where my finger is, I would write plus 0x squared. You want to always make sure you have that missing term. I would do that also with anything that you're dividing by, just to make sure that you hold your place values. Okay, so I am going to take 3x minus 2 and divide into, so we're using the old division sign that we did like in elementary school, 6x to the third plus 11x squared minus 4x minus 9. Okay, so that's the problem that we're dealing with. And what you want to make sure you do is you're always focusing on not this whole thing into this, but this first term into this first term. So you can think, okay, 6x cubed divided by 3x is, but I think of it this way. What can I multiply 3x by to get 6x cubed? So 3x times 2x squared. Now, since when I'm multiplying by is 2x squared, I don't start here. I start over my x squared. That way I hold my place value and I kind of know how many more steps I have in my problem. Okay, if you do it right here over the first thing you're going into, sometimes that will foul you up and you think you still have more work to do and you don't. So again, 3x times what gets me 6x cubed? And that is 2x squared. So now the 2x squared is actually supposed to multiply this whole thing. So I'm going to multiply this whole thing. I'm just using this to try to get this exactly. So now 2x squared times 3x is 6x cubed. 2x squared times a negative 2 is a negative 4x squared. And now we're going to minus. Okay, so just a quick little note. If I'm minusing, okay, so if I have the 6x cubed minus 4x squared and I'm minusing it, really the minus would be out front. And what happens is when this minus distributes, this becomes a negative 6x cubed, and then this negative and negative become a positive. So I am subtracting just like I would for normal long division. So when I'm subtracting, I'm going to make these opposite because when I put a negative or a minus in front of this quantity, okay, it makes everything opposite. And if you're going, well, why are we subtracting? Just as a quick little reminder, let's say I have 7 into 50, 32. I'm just going to start this problem. So 7 doesn't go into 5, but 7 goes into 50. It goes in 7 times. 7 times 7 is 49, and I don't add those together, I minus. I want to find the difference, and the difference is 1. I bring down my 3. Here, I'll just finish this. 7 goes into 13. Well, 7 goes into 13 one time, which is 7. I subtract, I get a 6. I bring down my next number, and I go 7 goes into 62, and that's going to be 8 times, because 9 would be 63. So this is going to be 56. And then when I do that subtraction, I end up with a 6, okay, a remainder of 6. Now we don't write R6, okay? What we would write is 718 and 6 sevenths. 6 because that's my remainder. 6 out of what? 6 out of 7. That's how we're going to write our problem, okay? So again, when I do this and I multiply to get this, I'm going to be subtracting, just like I subtracted my 49. And when I subtract this quantity, it makes everything opposite. Okay, so let me get this spaced here again. So I am going to make everything opposite. So when I do that, let me find a pen. That's going to be a different color. See how this is. So this is going to become a negative. This is going to become a positive. Okay, that's kind of a pen. Let me sorry, that's not very great color here. I'll try this one, the screen. So minus, this becomes a positive. And now I'm going to do that math, okay? So 6x cubed minus 6x cubed cancels out. I have an 11x squared, and now this is a plus 4x squared, so I get a 15x squared. And then I'm going to bring down, let me get a different color pen here, sorry. I'm going to bring down the next term, just like I did when I was doing my numbered long division. Okay, here I brought down my 3, then the next time I brought down my 2. Same idea. Each time I'm going to bring down the next term. So I'm going to bring down my minus 4x. Now, again, I'm going to focus not on this whole thing into this whole thing. I'm going to focus on the 3x into this front term, 15x squared. And 3x times what gets me 15x squared? That's a positive 5x. So now, and notice, see how my x squares over x squareds and my x's are over x's. I've got myself spaced. I'm going to have one more multiplication I'm going to have to do here. Okay, so 5x times 3x is 15x squared. 5x times a negative 2 is a negative 10x. And then again, I'm going to subtract, just going to make everything opposite. So now this is a negative and this is a positive. And when I do that math, I end up getting that cancels out. Here I get a 6x. And again, I'm going to bring down the next term. Okay, so I'm going to bring down a negative 9. And now again, I'm going to ask myself, okay, this 3x goes into this 6x. How many times? So 3x times what gets me 6x? 3x times 2. So 2 times 3x is 6x. 2 times a negative 2 is a negative 4. And again, I'm going to minus, which means I switch the signs. So that becomes negative, this becomes positive. And then when I do that math, I'm going to, those cancel out. Negative 9 plus 4 is a negative 5. So this right here, this negative 5, this is my remainder. So if they were asking me, hey, is 3x minus 2 a factor of this? No, it's not a factor because I ended up with a remainder that's not 0. Okay, so if something divides in evenly and you get a 0, it is a factor. If when it divides you do not get 0, it is not a factor. Okay, so what is my answer? How do I write my answer? So your answer is going to be 2x squared, okay, plus 5x plus 2. And then my remainder, so I can write this 2 ways. I can go plus and then put negative 5 over 3x minus 2. Or in this case, since this is just a minus 5, I might put my minus here and then go 5 over 3x minus 2. And that is our answer. So now I'm going to do a second example. And this example, they're going to write in a different form than using a division sign. This one's going to be with a fraction bar. That's the same thing, same idea. So on this next one, let me move this. So on number 2, I am going to do x cubed minus 13x minus 12 over, and this is an x minus 4. So again, this is just division. Fractions are division. This is saying that this polynomial is being divided by this. So this is what's going to go on the outside. Okay, it's going to divide into this. Now you'll also notice that I'm missing an x squared term. So I'm going to put a 0x squared plus 0x squared. So let me just rewrite it. So I'm going to write x minus 4 into x cubed. And again, I'm missing my x squared, so I'm going to go plus 0x squared. Just always do a plus 0, and then whatever variable you're missing. Okay, so I'm missing the x squared. Minus 13x minus 12. And so now I'm focusing on my x and the x cubed. So x times what gets me x cubed? Well, that's going to be an x to the second. So I'm not going to put it here. I'm going to put it right over my x to the second term. So here's x squared. X squared times x is x cubed. X squared times a negative 4 is a negative 4x squared. And that's why you want to hold that place value, because you're going to get an x squared. You're going to get one of those missing terms, most likely. So you want to have a spot so you can line things up properly. And then I'm going to change my signs because I'm going to subtract. So this is going to be a minus and this is going to become a plus. And this cancels out and I get 4x squared. And again, I'm going to bring down my minus 13x. So I'm going to have a minus 13x. And so again, my x goes into, again, the lead, 4x squared. And so x times what gets me 4x squared? And sorry, I'm moving my pens around. X times 4x. So that'll be a plus 4x. So 4x times x is 4x squared. 4x times a negative 4 is a negative 16x. And now I'm going to minus. So minus, and that becomes a plus. Make everything opposite. So this cancels out. This negative 13x plus 16x is a 3x. I'm going to bring down my next term, which is a minus 12. And then I'm going to focus again on this x into this 3x. And so x times what gets me 3x? Well, that's going to be a positive 3. So 3 times x is 3x. 3 times a negative 4 is a negative 12. Now you notice how I got the same thing here. Be careful because sometimes these might be the same numbers but different signs. And so when you subtract, they're actually not going to cancel out. But in this case, when I subtract, this becomes negative, this becomes positive. They actually will cancel out and I get 0. So in this case, my remainder is 0. So what that's going to mean down the road is sometimes they're going to ask you, again, is this x minus 4 a factor of this? And if you have a remainder of 0, you would say yes. Okay, so I'm just going to write this. It's not part of this question, but it will be soon enough. Okay, so since remainder equals 0, x minus 4, I'll put it in parentheses, is a factor of the problem we were dividing into, which is x cubed minus 13x minus 12. So sometimes what they'll ask you to do is they'll say, hey, factor completely. So, or they'll say, can you write it in with all linear factors? And so a linear factor would be like an x versus like an x squared. An x squared would not be a linear factor. So what I know at this point is x minus 4 times x squared plus 4x plus 3 gives me this. Okay, so let me first write my answer out. Sorry, I did not officially write my answer. So answer is x squared plus 4x plus 3. That is my answer. Okay, that is the answer to this question. Okay, that's what I get when I take x minus 4. But what that also means, and here I'm going to write this in a different color here. So what that means is the following. I know that x minus 4 times x squared minus 13, x squared plus 4x. Sorry, I started to write the wrong part of this. Okay, so x squared plus 4x plus 3 is equal to x to the third minus 13x minus 12. So what that means is if they asked us to factor x cubed minus 13x minus 12, I know a nice factor is x minus 4. That is a linear factor. But I can also factor this x squared plus 4x plus 3. This is an x plus 1 times an x plus 3 because 1 times 3 is 3 and 1 plus 3 is 4. And so I know that the factor form of this polynomial is actually this. Okay, so today our main focus is doing the division, but understand that we're doing this to see if something is a factor and then possibly factor further. Eventually we're going to be solving, okay, equations. So last example, this time for this example, I am going to have one that is not an x, it's like an x squared that's dividing. Okay, so let me get this example written. So this is number 3. So let's say we have 15x squared minus 4x plus 3x to the fourth plus 3 minus 5x to the third divided by 4 minus x plus x squared. Okay, so that's our problem. Here, let me just highlight it so we can see it. So that's what I'm doing. Now, the one thing you'll notice here, this is not in descending order. I have a square, then I have a fourth power and a third power over here. So we want to write it fourth, then my third, then my second, then my first, and then my constant. Same idea here. I want to rearrange this so it's in descending order. So when I rewrite it, I'm going to write it like this. So I'm going to start with what I'm dividing by, which is x squared, negative x plus 4 into, and again, I'm going to start with my 3x to the fourth minus 5x to the third plus 15x squared minus 4x and then plus 3. And don't panic because this is an x to the second and you have 3 terms like it's a trinomial, still doing the same thing. Still focusing on x squared into this 3x to the fourth. And so x squared times what gets us 3x to the fourth? Well, x squared times 3x squared. So I'm not going to put it here. I'm not going to put it here. I'm going to actually put it here. So I'm all the way over here. We have 2 more steps to go. So x squared times 3x squared will give me a 3x to the fourth. So x squared times x squared is 3x to the fourth. 3x squared minus times a negative x is a negative 3x to the third. 3x squared times 4 is a 12x squared. And then I'm going to switch my signs because I'm minusing. So this is negative, this is positive, this is negative. I should have given myself some more room there. So this is going to cancel out. And here, a negative 5x cubed and a positive 3x cubed is a negative 2x cubed. 15x squared minus 12x squared is a positive 3x squared. And then I'm going to bring down my minus 4x. So this is going to become a negative 4x. So again, I'm focusing on my x squared into my negative 2x cubed. So x squared times negative 2x will give me this. So this is going to be a negative 2x. And so negative 2x times x squared is a negative 2x cubed. Negative 2x times a negative x is a positive, I'm going to leave some space this time, 2x squared. And a negative 2x times a 4 is a negative 8x. And then I'm going to subtract. So I'm going to change the sign. So this is a plus, minus, plus. And now I'm going to do that math. And so this cancels out. 3x squared and a negative 2x squared is an x squared. Negative 4x and 8x is a 4x. And then I'm going to bring down my 3. And now, again, I'm doing x squared into x squared. Just a quick note. If this degree happens to be smaller than this degree, then you're done. Okay, and if you're lining it up, you'll know you're done because you see how I still have one more space here to do this. But if this is smaller than this or the same as this, then you can do that division. Okay, so x squared times what gets me x squared? Well, that's going to be a positive 1. So I'm going to take 1 times this, which basically means I'm going to get x squared minus x plus 4. And then I'm going to subtract. So this becomes negative, positive, negative. And when I do that math, this cancels out. This becomes a 5x. This becomes a negative 1. And again, notice, well, first off, I was lining myself up. I'm done. But this power is a degree 1. This is a bigger degree. It's not going to go into the smaller. We're done. This is our remainder. So is this a factor of this? No, no, it is not. Okay, doesn't mean we can't do the division. It's just not a factor. So my answer is going to be 3x squared minus 2x plus 1 plus this over x squared minus x plus 4. So again, 3x squared minus 2x plus 1, which is what I get up here, and then plus this over this. So plus 5x minus 1 over x squared minus x plus 4. And so I'll put the box in that. And that's your answer. And that's the end of this video.